welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie. And this week we have selected Readalikes for one of the most popular books at our library. I don't think our Lucky Day copy is ever on the shelf.
No,
so
sometimes.
It is. If you're fans of Kristin Hannah's The Women, we have some suggestions this week for you while you wait for this book. So Jill, what's your first pick?
So my first pick this time is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. And the bonus is this is also a Pulitzer winner. Mm-hmm. So if you're doing the Pulitzer Challenge, this one counts as one of your reads. Marie-Laure lives in Paris near the Museum of Natural History, where her father works. When she is 12, the Nazis occupy Paris, and father and daughter flee to the walled citadel of St. Malo, where Marie-Laure's reclusive great-uncle lives in a tall house by the sea. With them, they carry what might be the museum's most valuable and dangerous jewel. In the mining town of Germany, Werner Pfennig, an orphan, grows up with his younger sister, enchanted by the crude radio they found that brings them news and stories from places they have never seen or imagined. Werner becomes an expert at building and fixing these crucial new instruments and is enlisted to use his talent to track down the resistance. Deftly interweaving the lives of Marie-Laure and Werner, Doerr illustrates the ways, against all odds, people try to be good to one another. So, all the light you cannot see.
One of my favorite Pulitzer reads of the ones that I've read this year. And my first pick is The Ways We Hide by Christina McMorris. This was published in 2022, and it's from the New York Times bestselling author of Sold on a Monday. That was kind of a popular book here. And this is also a World War II tale of an illusionist whose recruitment by British intelligence sets her on a perilous, heartrending path. Raised amid the hardships of Michigan's copper country, Fenna Voss has learned to focus on her own survival, even now with the Second World War raging in faraway countries. Though she performs on stage as the assistant to an unruly escape artist, behind the curtain she's the mastermind of their act. After all, her honed ability to control her surroundings and elude entrapments, physical or otherwise, reliably suppresses the traumas of her youth. For all her planning, however, Fenna fails to predict being called upon by British intelligence. Tasked with creating escape tools to thwart the Germans, M19 seeks those with specialized skills for a war nearing its breaking point. Fenna reluctantly joins the unconventional team as an inventor. But when a test of her loyalty draws her deep into the fray, she discovers no mission is more treacherous than escaping one's past. Inspired by true accounts, The Ways We Hide is a riveting story of love and loss, the wars we fight on the battlefields and within ourselves, and the courage found in unexpected places. So, The Ways We Hide.
So, if you haven't read The Women yet, which you probably aren't if you're waiting, it's about Vietnam War and women in the Vietnam War, which was really hard to find things on the Vietnam War in literature. But I did get World War I and ladies. Band of Sisters by Lauren Willig. This was published in 2021. A group of women from Smith College risk their lives in France at the height of World War I in this sweeping novel based on a true story, a skillful blend of Call the Midwife and the Alice Network. Scholarship girl from Brooklyn, Kate Morgan, thought she found a place among the Smith's Mayflower descendants, only to have her illusions dashed the summer after graduation. When charismatic alumna Betsy Rutherford delivers a rousing speech at the Smith College Club in April 1917, looking for volunteers to help French civilians decimated by the German war machine, Kate is too busy earning her living and even think of taking up the call. But when her former best friend Emmeline Van Elden reaches out and begs her to take the place of a girl who had to drop out, Kate reluctantly agrees to join the new Smith College Relief Unit. 4 months later, Kate and 17 other Smithies, including 2 trailblazing female doctors, set sail for France. The volunteers are armed with money, supplies, and good intentions, all of which immediately go astray. The chateau that was to be their headquarters is half-burnt ruin. The villagers they meet are in desperate straits, women and children huddling in damp cellars, their crops destroyed, and their wells poisoned. Despite constant shelling from the Germans, French bureaucracy, and the threat of being ousted by the German army, the Smith volunteers bring welcome aid and hope to the region. But can they survive their own differences? As they cope with the hardships and terror of war, Kate and her colleagues find themselves navigating old rivalries and new betrayals that threaten the very existence of the unit. So, Band of Sisters by Lauren Willard.
My second pick does take place in Vietnam. This is from the internationally best-selling author of The Mountains Sing, and it's a suspenseful and moving saga about family secrets, hidden trauma, and the overriding power of forgiveness set during the war and in present-day Vietnam. In 1969, two sisters, desperate to help their parents pay off debts, leave their rural village and become bar girls in Saigon, drinking, flirting, and more with American GIs in return for money. As the war moves closer to the city, the once innocent Trang gets swept up in an irresistible romance with a young and charming American helicopter pilot named Dan. Decades later, Dan returns to Vietnam with his wife Linda, hoping to find a way to heal from his post-traumatic stress disorder and, unbeknownst to her, reckon with the secrets from his past. At the same time, Phuong, the son of a black American soldier and a Vietnamese woman, embarks on a search to find both his parents and a way out of Vietnam. Abandoned in front of an orphanage, Phuong grew up being called the dust of life, black American imperialist and child of the enemy, and he dreams of a better life for himself and his family in the United States. Past and present converge as these characters come together to confront decisions made during a time of war, decisions that force them to look deep within and find common ground across race, generations, culture, and language. So in addition to Vietnam setting like The Women, it's also for fans of Min Jin Lee's Pachinko or Yagayasi's Homecoming, and it tells an unforgettable and immersive story of how those who inherited tragedy can redefine their destinies through love, hard-earned wisdom, compassion, courage, and joy. So check out Dust Child, published back in 2023.
Great cover. So my next one is by Kate Quinn, who does some pretty good historical fiction. The Diamond Eye. This was published in 2022. The New York Times bestselling author of The Rose Code returns with an unforgettable World War II tale of a quiet bookworm who becomes history's deadliest female sniper. This is based on a true story, which is always fun. In 1937, the snowbound city of Kyiv, Ryan bookish history student Mila Pavlinchenko organizes her life around her library job and her young son. But Hitler's invasion of Ukraine and Russia sends her on a different path. Given a rifle and sent to join the fight, Mila must forge herself from the studious girl to a deadly sniper, lethal hunter of Nazis, known as Lady Death. When news of her 300th kill makes her a national heroine, Mila finds herself torn from the bloody battlefields of the Eastern Front and sent to America on a goodwill tour. Still reeling from the war wounds and devastated by loss, Mila finds herself isolated and lonely in the glittering world of Washington, D.C., until an unexpected friendship with First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt and an even more unexpected connection with a silent fellow sniper offer the possibility of happiness. But when an old enemy from Mila's past joins forces with a deadly new foe lurking in the shadows, Lady Death finds herself battling her own demons and enemy bullets on the deadliest duel of her life. Based on a true story, Diamond Eye is a haunting novel of heroism born of desperation, of a mother who became a soldier, a woman who found her place in the world and changed the course of history forever. The Diamond Eye.
She's a popular author.
She is.
My third pick is The Kinship of Secrets by Eugenia Kim, published back in 2018. And this is not the Vietnam War, but the Korean War in this one. In 1948, Najin and Calvin Cho, with their young daughter Moran, travel from South Korea to the United States in search of new opportunities. Wary of the challenges they know will face them, Najin and Calvin make the difficult decision to leave their other daughter, Inya, behind with their extended family. But soon they hope they will return to her. But then war breaks out in Korea, and there's no end in sight to the separation. Moran grows up in prosperous American suburbia, under the shadow of the daughter left behind, as Inya grapbles in her war-torn land with ties to a family that she begins to forget. Najin and Calvin desperately seek a reunion with their daughter, but are the bonds of love strong enough to reconnect their family over distance, time, and war? And as deep family secrets are revealed, will everything they long for be upended? It's told through the alternating perspectives of the distant sisters, one in America, one in South Korea, and inspired by a true story, The Kinship of Secrets explores the cruelty of war, the power of hope, and what it means to be a sister. And she is also the author of The Calligrapher's Daughter, if anybody's familiar with that book. So,
Cool.
Kinship of Secrets.
So my next one is from kind of an author of another famous book that you might hear about later. Codename Helene by Ariel Lawhon. This was published in 2020. It's 1936, and Nancy Wake is an intrepid Australian expat living in Paris who has bluffed her way into a reporting job for Hearst newspaper when she meets the wealthy French industrialist Henry Fayocca. No sooner does Henry sweep Nancy off her feet and convince her to become Mrs. Fayocca than the Germans invade France and she takes yet another name, a code name. As Lucienne Carlier, Nancy smuggles people and documents across the border. Her success and her remarkable ability to evade capture earns her the nickname the White Mouse from the Gestapo. With a 5 million franc bounty on her head, Nancy is forced to escape France and leave Henry behind. When she enters training with the special operations executives in Britain, her new comrades are instructed to call her Helene. And finally, with mission in hand, Nancy is airdropped back into France as a deadly Madame Andre, where she claims her place as one of the most powerful leaders in the French resistance, armed with a ferocious whip, her signature red lipstick, and the ability to summon weapons straight from the Allied forces. No one can protect Nancy if the enemy finds out these four women are one and the same, and the closer to liberation France gets, the more exposed she is, and the people she loves become. Codename Helene.
Yeah, that on my to-be-read list, actually. My fourth pick, familiar author for those of you who are fans of the book The Extraordinary Life of Sam Hell. This is The World Played Chess by Robert Dugoni, and this was published in 2021. In 1979, Vincent Bianco has just graduated high school. His only desire, collect a little beer money and enjoy his final summer before college. So he lands a job as a laborer on a construction crew. Working alongside two Vietnam vets, one suffering from PTSD, Vincent gets the education of a lifetime. Now, 40 years later, with his own son leaving for college, the lessons of that summer, Vincent's last taste of innocence and first taste of real life, dramatically unfold in a novel about breaking away, shaping a life, and seeking one's own destiny. So, check out The World Played Chess by Robert Dugoni.
My last one is kind of new. It's published in 2023, Sisters Under the Rising Sun by Heather Morris. In the midst of World War II, an English musician, Nora Chambers, places her 8-year-old daughter Sally on a ship leaving Singapore, desperate to keep her safe from the Japanese army as they move down through the Pacific. Nora remains to care for her husband and elderly parents, knowing she may never see her child again. Sister Nesta James, a Welsh-Australian nurse, has enlisted to tend to Allied troops, but as Singapore falls to the Japanese, she joins the terrified cargo of people, including the heartbroken Nora, crammed aboard the Weinerbrook merchant ship. Only 2 days later, they are bombarded from the air. Off the coast of Indonesia, in the matter of hours, the Weinerbrook lies broken on the seabed. After surviving a brutal 24 hours in the sea, Nesta and Nora reach the beaches of a remote island, only to be captured by the Japanese and held in one of the notorious POW camps. The camps are places of starvation and brutality where disease runs rampant. Sisters in arms, Nora and Nesta fight side by side every day, helping whoever they can, and discovering in themselves and each other extraordinary reserves of courage, resourcefulness, and determination. Sisters Under a Rising Sun is a story of women in war, a novel of sisterhood, bravery, and friendship in the darkest of circumstances. So, there you go.
My last pick for today's Read-alike is Absolution by Alice McDermott, published in 2023. And this is a riveting account of women's lives on the margins of the Vietnam War. In Saigon in 1963, two young American wives form an alliance. Tricia is a starry-eyed newlywed married to a rising oil engineer on loan to the U.S. Navy Intelligence. And Charlene is a practiced corporate spouse and mother of 3, a talented hostess and determined altruist on a mission to relieve the wretchedness she sees all around her. When Tricia miscarries, Charlene sweeps her into a group of well-dressed, do-gooder American wives. Armed with baskets filled with candy and toys, they descend on hospitals, orphanage, and a leper colony on the coast, determined to relieve suffering no matter the cost. 60 years later, Charlene's daughter reaches out to Tricia, now widowed and living in Washington. As the two relive their shared experiences in Saigon, they are forced to come to terms with the ways their own lives have been shaped and stunted by Charlene's pursuit of inconsequential good. With a narrative impact that recalls Graham Greene's The Quiet American, Alice McDermott confronts the unresolved mysteries and ironies of America's tragic interference in Southeast Asia. So if you want to hear something more about the Vietnam War, Absolution by Alice McDermott.
You were really good at finding Vietnam War things.
Well, a lot of them, well, I had Korean War and World War II, you know, but women in the wars.
Women in the wars. So if you're waiting for the women, we hope you give you something else to read while you're waiting, because it's been popular since it was released.
I think it was the most popular book in the Owls when I ran the reports, so I enjoyed the book. Did you read the book?
I did read the book.
Yeah.
I did. It was good.
So, thank you for watching our videos. You can find us on our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, the Kimberly Public Library website. And until next time, happy reading and thanks for watching.
Bye.